Welcome, final expense agents and brokers, to the most popular audio training and podcast in the industry, The Lead Jerk Show, where we cut through the red tape and give you only the best in expert interviews. So strap in and grab a cold beverage and get ready to learn and earn. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the one and only Matt Lowery, also known as The Lead Jerk.
All right, everybody. Matt here, aka The Lead Jerk, and I'm going to be joined today with Donnie McDaniel, aka Gooner, there on the site, the forum. And today we're going to answer some questions that we took off the forum, some requests, and do our best with our ability to answer those. You may or may not agree with some of them, but it is from our experience being in the field and prior business experience. So hope you guys enjoy it. Grab a cold beverage or a hot beverage if you're into coffee like me. And remember, for the best telemarketing final expense leads in the country, visit us at www.theleadjerk.com. Okay, on with the show. Enjoy. Alright, everybody, this is Matt, the Lead Jerk, and Donnie. You guys know us both on the forum, so we're in the same room today, and we're going to answer some questions for you. Actually, the first one is from Steve Jones there on the site, and he said he'd like to hear us talk about daily mindset, type of personality, people skills you think it is or it takes to be successful doing this. Everybody talks about leads, presentation, work ethic, but all that means nothing if you are stiff and can't connect with the people we see. So why don't you take a stab at that, Donnie, and then I'll do a follow-up on it.
What I'd say mindset-wise, how I look at every day, the hardest part of every day is walking out of your house and driving to the appointments. Part of the reason why I actually have an appointment setter is because I knew going into this, the one thing I didn't want to do was call and sit on a phone and talk to people. So I knew, just for my personality, I had to have an appointment setter or I'd be broke because I wouldn't work. So I spend money, to do the things in this job that I don't want to do. That being said, I've got to work a little bit harder, buy a couple more leads a week, because appointment setter's not going to set as many appointments as I am. Mindset wise is you got to look at this as a business. A lot of folks get into doing insurance are broke. And have never worked for themselves, and they've got some friend with a pipe dream telling them, look, you can make $15,000 a year. Hell, just read the insurance form, and you can make $15,000 a month if you read it enough. People see that and they're like, oh yeah, this is great. I've never been successful at anything in my life. I'm going to be great at selling final expense. And it doesn't work like that. I think Matt and I both come from a business background, so you guys are going to get a pretty one-sided opinion on this whole podcast about the mindset. But I look at it as a business. It's straight up, I know what my lead costs are going to be pretty much every month on a monthly basis. I know what my appointment setter cost should be on a monthly basis. Those are my sunk costs. I know I'm going to spend gas. I got to get an oil change. I got to put money away for wear and tear. Got to put money away for a new car every 2 years, because I'm putting 100,000 miles, every 2 years on a car. So the mindset is to really treat it like a business. You wake up in the morning, you got to go out and you got to go kill something, or else you're not going to eat.
That's right.
The type of personality, I think it's all types of personalities. Matt and I both are a bit, what's the word I used? Abrasive.
I never say the word deadbeat.
Right. So we both, I at least I'll just speak for me. I go out there every day, and I don't care if I have 7 appointments and the first 4 appointments are no's, or I'm broke, I don't have any money. I know as soon as I walk into that third house, that could be my $150 a month premium. Right. And there's been several times where, that's the case. I'll go 0 for 6 and go into my seventh appointment of the day, and you walk out with a 1,500, 2,000 AP app. So it's just not about letting the no's get to you. And a lot of recruiters and salespeople go, oh, you got to get through 5 no's to get to a yes, and that's kind of bullshit. Sorry, yeah, this isn't going to be a PC conversation.
Exactly.
It's crap. You can go through 100 no's before you get a yes. It depends on if you're doing the right things. Now, if you have a good presentation, it does become a numbers game. But if you have a shit presentation, it's not a numbers game. You're going to keep getting no's and no's and no's.
That's right.
Unless you tweak your presentation. That's the other thing I think that's really important is you've always got to be self-evaluating. That's a key thing. I walk out of every no and I think, how did I mess that up? What did I do wrong? All right, Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll add what Donnie touched on as far as treating like a business. I think is kind of one of the numero uno things you need to do. A lot of guys get in this to have an employee mentality. I mean, hell, I've seen on the board people post asking about, their upline requiring them to do this or that. Well, I mean, even if you're in a captive agency, they still aren't your boss. I mean, they can give you advice, but I mean, first of all, it's the difference between somebody telling you what to do and you having the wherewithal to just do what you need to do, right out of the gate. So I think, number one, you've got to know that this is not a job, but you need to treat it like one. Okay, you're the employee of your own company. Okay, so you need to be the all-star of your own little micro business. Okay, and that's the way you need to look at it. I mean, everything you do in the field, from buying leads to having appointments set, however you want to do that. There's fixed costs, and then there's costs that can go awry sometimes. I mean, you need to have a account set up for chargeback debt, taxes, stuff like that you can dip into if you need to. Now, once you get your presentation down the way you really want it, a lot of people, and I was asked this question 25 years ago for a job I was being interviewed on, and it's always stuck with me because this is a very successful company in their field. And they asked me, Matt, do you think sales is an art or a science? Okay. So, being young and stupid, I answered, well, I think it's an art. But really, when it comes down to it, it's more science, because if you can figure out the right thing to say to enough people, and you get in front of enough of them, and you say the right thing in front of enough of them, you're going to get business. Now, the art thing may be, how you interact with them or talk to them. That may be the art side, but basically it's it is a numbers game, flat out. You got to get in front of people, and you've got to have your presentation squared away. And as far as once you get that down, that's going to help your mindset. Once you find something that works, and you can just cookie cut it over and over and over, and along with that, you've got to learn how to pivot, sidestep objections, ignore objections, and just keep going forward. That's going to help your mindset too, and have a little bit better personality skills with people. But it comes down to work ethic. I mean, do I have days or weeks where I don't want to do a damn thing? Sure. Do I have weeks where I haven't done a damn thing? Yep. If I went out and wrote $8,000 or $9,000 in a week, man, it's and that's bad to say because I know I shouldn't do it. I might only work 2 days the next week, but it is what it is. But consistent lead flow has a lot to do with that too. That's if
true.
You don't have consistent lead flow, you can't be out there 4 days a week. But when you do, then you can, and that's going to increase production, which should help your motivation right there. Should be in the deposits you also see coming in your bank account from getting in front of enough people. So.
Which that circles to the next question. We were going to go from Rich Mac. He talks about the motivation of leaving the house every day, but the second part of his first question was what gets you out and going. What gets you out and going?
Yep.
And everybody wants to. Okay, I won't say everybody. A lot of people will tell you they get into this business to help people, and
bullshit.
And that's yeah, and it's not. That is not my underlying reason for getting into this. And if it's on the list, it might be the third or fourth down on the list. What motivates me to get out there is putting money in my bank, being able to take care of my family, and I'm going to circle down to Rich's third question he asked is, How do you keep your skill level high off coming off vacation or time off from the field?
Yes, Mr. Griswold.
Yeah, exactly. So, not a big secret, but I had a great first 5 months of this year, and actually took off about 4 weeks in the first 5 months. Over the course of April and March, hit a really big number. I was really happy with it. I took a month and left in June, came back middle of July. Took the family up the West Coast, did 3 weeks. Saw a couple forum members while I was out in California, which was fun.
What's up, Thad?
Yeah, Thad and Rick. So that's my motivation, is being able to do this. And I forget exactly how one of the people who trained me, and he'll know who he is that there's not too many jobs where you can go out, work 2 or 3 days in the field and make over $200,000.
Right. There's your motivation.
And that's your motivation. Now, and again, we're going to say, is everybody who gets in this going to write $150,000 to $200,000 a year buying the same amount of leads I buy? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not the best salesman in the world, but I'm sure as hell not the worst.
Right.
But the difference is when I work. Matt and I, he came out and rode with me a couple weeks ago, and we posted a funny little clip, or something he posted to the forum about you can work and drink on the job, and that was one of those rare occasions. I don't stop.
Yeah. There was like 3 hours in between appointments at that point.
And that's true. And it was about 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And
we were hungry.
And I was hungry, and I'd already by the time Matt rode with me, it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday, I'd actually hit my weekly goal.
Right.
And actually had hit my monthly goal. So I wasn't going to go out and door knock. And that's the other thing, is once I hit my goal,
then you door knock.
I'm not, if I haven't hit my goal, I'll go door knock. But if I've hit my goal and I'm happy with where I'm at, and I knew I had another day in the field after that, I'm good. I don't see the need for me to go out and do door knocking.
You know what? I wanna veer off just for a second on doing this door knocking myth. Okay. So let me give you my take on door knocking. All right. And I'm thinking this is gonna be. I'm thinking this is. Got the peanut gallery comment. I'm thinking this is kind of something that some people are gonna agree with, some are not, but. Okay, this is going to be where my stance is no matter wherever I'm at in this industry, okay? Whether I ever decide to build a group, whether I don't, if I'm always just a producer, okay? This is my stance on door knocking. If you're setting your own appointments and you're good, okay? Or if your appointment setter is good, here's the way you need to look at it, because it'll save you a lot of time and heartache, okay? If you or a good appointment setter you have gets in contact with a lead, no matter what kind it is, okay, lead, direct mail, internet, whatever, and they tell them, F you, I ain't interested, they hang up on them, they say, they give them whatever, they are just bound and determined they are not going to meet with anybody, okay? Throw that lead in the trash, because I'm going to tell you, statistically speaking, anytime I've door knocked those, and I've sold them, they don't stick, okay? That's personally from what I've seen. Now, that goes back to, skimming the cream off the top, okay? And, there's quite a few agents that do that, and that's the way they operate, and they do just fine in this. So I'm thinking, now the no contacts, fine. Door knock them if you want to, but that's at your discretion. Do you really need to if you've hit your numbers? I mean, if there's no contact by you or your appointment setter, I'd say, yeah, hit them at least once and try to get in them. Or if you're going to be working the same area over and over, save them up, and door knock them. But honestly, if my appointment setter can't get them on the phone and I door knock them a couple of times, I throw that lead away. I don't even waste my time with it, because they're not prospects at that point. I've tried and tried and tried all that I can. And how long are you going to let that file build up to where it's getting in your way of actually moving through the new prospects that are coming in your pipeline? So all these guys and these recruiters that tell you door knock every lead if they tell you piss off or whatever, okay, I want you guys to stop and think about something. And I'm not trying to turn this into a recruiter bashing thing.
It's fine.
Here's the deal. If an agency has 50 agents and none of them are door knocking. They're people that are telling them to go jump in the lake, and then all of a sudden, all 50 agents go door knock 3 or 4. Well, let's say 10. Okay, I'd say it'd be kind of high. 10. All of them door knock at least 10 leads that told them they weren't interested. Okay, let's say they all sell 1 extra app. Well, that's only 1 extra app to that agent, which is not gonna make or break you that week or that month. Okay. But it's 50 extra apps for the agency that week.
And it might take that agent to get in front of 10 people. It might take you a day and a half.
Exactly.
And it doesn't cost your recruiter
anything.
So
consider the source, guys. That's just my take. So
yeah, I agree. I think that's the next question Hard Worker had was, I'm not going to read his whole question, but basically it spurred in his mind from the John Duggar interview about throwing a lead in the trash. And I'll probably say that that's one of the most important things I picked up from John. And this is really before I had even started selling, listening to his interview that he had done before.
We got plenty of time.
He was talking about throwing leads in the trash. If I don't have them, I'm throwing them in the trash. And so mentally, when I came into this business, I came into it with the mindset that there's going to be garbage.
Yep.
And it might be 30%, it might be 40%, it might be 50%. Now, last year, all of 2014, I pretty much was exclusive telemarketing. I never door knocked a telemarketed lead that we didn't set an appointment with. We might have set appointments with 45, 50%.
Yeah, that was the average, yeah.
That was probably the average. And I knew buying a $15 telemarketed lead, if I was buying 20, I'm throwing away $150 a week.
Yeah.
It's just garbage. It's gone. It is a sunk cost because that $150 gets me the other 10 leads that I'm going to sit with.
Right.
And it might have been more than 20 leads. It was probably closer to 30 leads a
right.
week. I probably bought 30
yeah.
telemarketed leads a week last year. But I never even considered it door knocking them. If we couldn't even get them on the phone, it's just they were garbage and I threw them away. And that's hard for people to wrap their minds around because like, oh my God, you're wasting so much money. And yeah, it is. I do waste money.
It's what some people call agent killers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of it. That you'll have the agent killers in there. But it's also part of it is that you just have to know that in this business there's waste.
And it bothers me, Donnie. I can't stand that, but I have to.
You have to make yourself
screw them. You know.
You watch me do it long enough.
Yeah, it's just like you just gotta get rid of them, man. You just can't. You know. Right. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And no, same thing. And so same thing with your direct mail leads. I mean, and Matt's absolutely right. I agree. If my appointment setter talks to him, can't set an appointment, they won't commit to it. I'm out. I'm done. I throw it away. I'm not even worried about it. A lot of guys will go back and follow up and knock. I have not had good experience doing that. I find myself, wasting time, and whether it's wasting time going out an extra day in the field, that's to door knock these, no appointments, won't set appointments, and I've done it, and it was a complete waste.
Yep.
Now maybe my door knock approach isn't the best, but every time I go out and door knock the no contacts, I have a good time.
There you go.
I write apps. But it seems like whenever I try to go back and hit the people who have told the appointment setters, no thank you, I'm not interested any longer, I never get anywhere. So that's throw that lead in the trash, in my opinion. And that's what I'll circle back to what I was talking about. John Duggar is he drilled that into my head just from me listening to his interview probably 10 times. That I know I'm going to have sunk costs. So my sunk costs were leads, bad leads, appointment setter, gas, car maintenance. That was it. Plus, a soda at the gas station.
Right.
And your penny ante crap.
And there's a difference between a lead that's kind of dodgy on being able to be contacted, and a lead that tells you buy. A lead that's not interested. And the big difference is that the ones you haven't made contact with, you don't know yet. So absolutely, it's worth door knocking. But and that goes to back to personal preference too, though. What's your week been? Did you hit 5K, and then you don't want to door knock those this week? Put them in a file and hit them later when you're in the area.
Right.
Don't kill yourself. Work smart.
Yep. And I'm a big believer.
Work smart, then kill yourself.
Alrighty then.
I'm a big believer in hit your goals, and then if you want to stop. If you want to keep going and have a big week, do it. I've had several weeks where I've hit my goal by Monday evening, and that's a lot of week left, and I kept going, and I hit a big week, and that makes cruising for the rest of your month. Now then you have weeks like I had a week last week. I didn't write anything. About 20% of my weekly goal I wrote last week, but that's okay. I got a lot of month left, and I'm working actually, and I knew going into this coming week I'm working 5 days, not 2.5. So I've got 5 full days this week. I'll make up for it. A lot of people talk about setting weekly goals. Do your 4K a week, do your 4K a week. I don't set weekly goals because my brain can't handle it. Because if I don't hit my weekly goal, then I'll get pissed off. I have a monthly goal.
Right.
So I don't worry about if I don't hit it by the first 2 weeks of the month. I'm not really stressing out if I'm not on target. But I will be if I'm at the third. If I'm at the end of the third week and I got halfway to go to my goal, I know that next week of the month is going to be a long week.
Right.
And it would make my life easier if I would work harder in the first couple weeks. But it is what it is, and I know that I'm going to hit X amount of no's to hit X amount of yeses. I know my presentation. I've seen my numbers. I track my numbers.
Something else I've started doing, Donnie?
What's that?
When you're talking about like not keeping up with monthly or week, not keeping up weekly but monthly, a lot of agents get overwhelmed and too entrenched in keeping up with how many leads did I get, how many appointments did I set. The problem with that is, because when you hear us say this, you guys know we're out there working. This isn't this we didn't read this shit in a book. We're out there doing it. That's why we have some counter opinions to what some of the popular opinions are on this. But if you have 8 appointments or 7 appointments in a day, and you get to that 5th or 6th one, you haven't sold anything, you're like, oh man, I've already had 5 or 6 appointments, and statistically speaking, if I don't get some blah blah blah, that wears on you. So I don't even really keep up with it anymore. I look at AP.
Yep.
I look at AP. That's my goal. So I don't care if I had 15 appointments in a week, and I write 3,500 or 3,000. All right, and I only sold maybe 4 apps. I don't care. I'm looking at AP. Now, do I want it spread to help leverage that? Of course. I don't want a $300 app and that's it.
Right.
But my point is, don't get drowned in the minutia. The work on your big rocks before the little rocks. That big rock's the AP.
As Dave likes to call, as he likes to mock me with it, the mental masturbation.
There you go. Yes.
And it is kind of important to know how much AP you're going to write off of however many sits. It is an important number, but it's not something you should focus on.
Yeah, because it's not going to be the same every week or every month.
Nope.
Yep.
So.
But we do know statistically speaking, and I wasn't sure about this, but we know where we both heard this the first time. 12 sits will usually equal 4,000 in AP, and it's held true.
And I think that is, and I think that Travis says that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think Travis preaches that because that's what an average agent should hit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main thing. He's not saying that to blow marketer speak up
Right,
your butt.
right.
If you have 12 sits, 4,000 AP, honest to God, should be the minimum.
Yep.
I know if I have 12 face-to-faces, I'm writing a whole lot more than 4,000 AP.
Mm-hmm.
And so, then you get into when Matt rode with me, our first appointment of the day was a little $15 a month policy.
They all count.
And And then the last time Matt and I actually walked in, we had an appointment with a guy in the same day, and it was a little $18, $19 a month policy.
No soup for you.
And so when we were in that first appointment, it was going to be an SNL graded policy. The guy was, he 1 foot in the grave.
Yeah, literally.
And so it was a graded policy. He had all these medications. I looked over at Matt as I'm writing up the app. He didn't have SNL at the time, and so I'm writing up this stupid app.
Cursing.
And
Can't believe I'm doing this shit for $15 a month.
Yeah, that pretty much is what that was my attitude. And then the same thing, like you get to see the same attitude. We left this little house. We did a little $15 a month policy, and I was like, that's just. And it was a settler's policy. And I was just like, oh my God, if there's anything wrong with this application and Settlers tells me that there's anything wrong,
right.
I'm just going to throw it away. I'm
right.
not even going to worry about it.
Right.
And so that's the other mindset is I'm not always looking for the $100 a month person. I'm not really looking for the little $15 a month, but they do add up.
Mm-hmm.
I've written a lot more little policies here in the last couple months. My app count's way up. And my AP stayed about the same. I don't know. I guess it's just one of those. They all do count, and I find myself struggling with those little $15 and $20 apps.
Right.
Going, God, is this really worth the papers written on and the time and the headache for me to do this?
Right.
And, if you do 20 of those in a week, I guess it does add up.
Yeah. And as far as staying strong on your mentality, like. Things can wear on you too. Like when you're engaged in a prospect. I had one this week that, I got there. The lady's 51 years old. She's. Well, I'd say she's not your typical final expense prospect.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, none of them were in that area, which is awesome because you're gonna write some business there. So. The thing about it is, we were going to bring that up, is, she was all over the place. I mean, she was very organized, had a nice house, I noticed that. Got in there, but you got to stay strong mentally with keeping people on track, too, and that helps keep you on track. So she's going through all this stuff. She had policies, she knew she had coverage. I pointed out a couple of them were accidental only, so she's going to cancel those, whatever, right? But she was all over the place. And I'm like, sometimes you just got to move forward and say, well, look, let's go and get you some added right now while you're healthy. And to me, that's having a strong mental focus too, being able not to let the prospect guide you. And let's see, who asked that one about being part-time? Rich. Okay, Rich MCK. How can a part-time FE agent be successful? Okay. Long-term, I don't think somebody can. But I think short term and having a goal to go full time, I'd say you could if you're not full time in 24 months, you're probably not going to do it. But you can do it. The biggest challenge to that is in final expense you need volume, right? So you need either volume in AP or volume in number of apps. Well, when you're only part-time, there's only so many apps you're going to be able to write. So your exposure on things staying on the books and not being able to concentrate and not being able to run as many leads as you normally would be able to is detrimental. And I know that personally because that's what I did pretty much the first year and a half I was in this.
And I can verify that because I got many a phone call talking Matt off the ledge.
Right, exactly. So it's like, you write 8 apps in a month. Well, I mean that's not, yeah, it's money, but you're only dipping your toe in the pool at that point. So it can be done. And I think some areas probably, now I know some people are going to disagree with me on this and I don't care, but I love you, all you guys, but I have my own feelings about areas to work, and, in some areas of the country you could do better than here in the South being part-time, but I think bottom line, I think if you do what you're supposed to do, there's no reason to stay part-time. But if that's your only avenue for getting started, then that's your only avenue. The problem is, if you've got a job you're working, man, and it's an 8 to 5 or an 8 to 6 job, and you're only going to work weekends or evenings, I mean, you can make it work, but just be prepared. You better have a goal and a time line when you're going to make the switch over and go full time?
And I guess I take a different look at it, and I've been busting down Matt's door about this for probably 2 years now, almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're going to do something, and you're going to do something that has the ability to generate the type of income this can generate,
Mm-hmm.
I think you save up and you just go for it. I think you pull the plug, you jump right in the ocean, and you just sink or swim. That's going to go contrary to most people's advice.
If they've got the money.
If you got the money,
Yeah.
but now you save up. I mean,
That's true.
How many times on the forum people are like, "Oh, I'm going to get started." I'm like, I wouldn't get started. I go deliver pizzas for 3 months.
Save money up for leads.
Yeah, I go deliver pizzas for 3 months, put some money in the bank, and then go do it.
He makes money right now.
Take a week off of work. Take a vacation. Order some leads. Take a vacation from your work, and then go run some.
Mm-hmm.
That's how honestly, that's how I got started. I was in the middle of a consulting gig. I dropped leads in November of 13.
Mm-hmm.
Allie, Matt's wife, sent me 9 appointments off of 14 leads the first week of December. I had never sold a stick of final expense insurance,
Mm-hmm.
and went out and did $4,900 in
You were hooked.
2.5 days. I came back home that first day. I think I did $2,500. I told my wife, I was like, I'm no longer doing sales and marketing consulting. I found a new thing I'm gonna try, and that's what we did. We burned all the bridges. I had to finish out my contract, and that ended in February of 14. And when that second week of February was there, I ended that contract. I was all in, and I've got a much larger nut than a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
That start businesses, but I've started businesses before. Anyways, I knew what it was going to take to go into it, so that's
you kind of actually. It's funny. You kind of have more of the attitude like Allie does. Actually, my wife. I mean, she's like, and one of the things is like getting consistent lead flow, obviously. But if you look, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. If you got consistent leads in your area, and you don't just jump into it after testing it, you're crazy. Because, like Allie said, you just gotta cut the line and just do it. And I'll say this: if any of you guys out there are single, you need to find a little support group. Hell, some of you that are married, I mean, a lot of wives or fiancés, girlfriends could care less what you do. But having find an agent you can call up and bitch to once in a while on the phone or text or whatever. And my wife's very understanding about all this, but that helps. I still do it. I'll call Donnie or I'll text somebody or whatever, and that helps. That helps too with making the decision to go ahead and go forward. You're not the only one out there doing it.
right. All right. So the funny question. Rich again asked a funny question. Do you practice listening to motivational CDs or MP3s? And if so, who do you recommend?
Give that man a red cape, son.
The answer for me is a no. I think as far as my motivational speakers goes, I listen to Colin Cowherd on ESPN Radio. And that's about what I listen to.
Who's that?
Yeah, it's not motivational.
If y'all didn't know, I'm not into sports,
Yeah.
so I don't. It's just not something I'm into.
So, anyways, that's about as far as my listening to talking and all that good stuff. It's not something I've never been the type that needed somebody else to motivate me. Again, it's one of those. I wake up in the morning and I want to make $20,000 in a month.
Mm-hmm.
So.
If that don't motivate you, Dave Ramsey's not going to motivate you, right?
Right. Now I listen to Dave Ramsey. Too.
Yeah, he's. I'll say I do listen to some stuff, and the reason I do it, it's not for motivation. It's to learn maybe something I don't know, like Dan Kennedy, Gary Halbert. These guys are heavy into marketing, so whether or not I can apply that to final expense, which 99.9% of the stuff they have will not apply to final expense. Because most of the lead pieces are already done, all the marketing's done. You just got to plug in and go. But I just like learning, so I'll listen to damn near anybody, and I usually within the first 15 or 20 minutes can tell whether or not I'm going to get anything out of it. But I'd say if you're doing this the right way, you're not going to have a whole lot of time to listen. So with that being said, I think we're probably right a little over 30 minutes. So we're going to wrap this up for this episode, and I appreciate all you guys listening, and keep the questions coming, right?
Yeah, that'll work.
So we're gonna bow out now, and you guys just hang tight and keep posting questions, and we'll do this again. See y'all later. And Donnie, I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely, buddy.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Alrighty, well, there you go. Episode number 1 with Galt and Gooner on the books. I appreciate you guys listening. Be listening later for even more. And for the best final expense telemarketing leads in the country, visit us at www.theleadjerk.com. Again, www.theleadjerk.com. Y'all have a good one.